Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Transform Your Wellness podcast, a space where we explore the body, mind, and spirit connection and discover powerful ways to reclaim your health, awaken your potential, and live with more purpose, vitality, and joy. I'm Karin Hagberg, also known as the Awake Wellness Warrioress, and I'm so glad you are here. Today, I'm so excited to once again welcome a truly special guest, Danelle Boyles. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you might remember our earlier conversations where Danelle and I talked about finding peace within turbulent times and awakening to our true essence. Danelle is a humanitarian educator, holistic practitioner, artist, and consciousness coach whose mission is to help people connect to their inner truth, release old patterns, and rise into alignment with the new earth frequencies emerging right now. And in today's episode, that is called The End Times or A New Beginning, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and thought-provoking topics of our times. Are we witnessing the collapse of the old world, or are we stepping into something profoundly new? What if what feels like an ending is actually an invitation, a call to awaken, to realign, and to birth a higher level of consciousness, both individually and collectively? So, together, Danelle and I, we're going to explore how to navigate through this transition with grace and trust. How to let go of fear and step out of old paradigms and embrace the new energy that's calling us forward. So, wherever you are, and whether you're feeling uncertainty, change, or expansion, this episode will definitely help you see the beauty, the deeper beauty in it all, because endings aren't just endings, they are also doorway to a new beginning. So let's dive in. Danelle, welcome once again. I'm really excited about having this chat to you today on this beautiful day here in Australia. It is the 29th of October 2025, and your date is the 28th of the 10th, and that's a powerful day, isn't it, Danelle?
It is. And I'm very excited about joining you for this conversation today. It's a very taboo subject, as many of the subjects that we touch upon are among taboo conversations. But up and coming in our collective awareness, these conversations are being needed to be had and brought about because so many people are becoming consciously aware of what is currently and has been happening. And there's many people who are now joining the process. They're in the midst of wanting answers. And so, as taboo of a subject as this is, it's one that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, it's all coming to light, to all of humanity. And I guess it's for the ones that are open to the receiving the truth and seeing the light to kind of align with it. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all collectively, we are moving up and forward, aren't we? But individually, we are experiencing it in slightly different ways, aren't we?
Yeah, there's so many different levels and layers to this process. And whenever you talk about, and I will just say as a precursor that I really enjoy our conversations to be very organic. So I did not really prepare anything. So this is going to be just a very fluid, flowing conversation. And a lot of it will be intuitively spoken is how people need to hear it. Because I feel like that's very important when we're speaking to the collective. I try very hard to not speak from any kind of ego or personal standpoint or personal experience, because this is an experience that is very individualized. Collectively, it's happening on so many different levels, and in waves, which we've talked about. Because quite honestly, if the whole world lost its mind at the same time, we would be in a lot of trouble. We wouldn't be able to function as a society. But the end of times or a new beginning, quite frankly, it's both. Both paradigms of this topic is actually correct. Because we are concluding a pattern of earthen habits that are being collapsed in old paradigms that have been suffocating our society and causing collapse of systems. And so it's time for those systems to collapse and to, be recognized for what they brought, to us, and for us. But we're moving into a new beginning collectively, individually, that is, if we want to coin the phrase, it is the golden age. And the golden age is supposed to be the best times of life for everyone who is in our earthen experience right now.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying, Danelle. When I do these, shall we call it conscious conversations, it
Mm-hmm.
cannot be prescripted. It has to be right in this absolute moment. And I guess whatever is coming to us right now will be the thing that needs to be coming out. I myself, just before this conversation, had a few things that just came towards me, call it whatever. We call it downloads or channeling or whatever. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing that came to me was that, every system has a certain frequency. And when it becomes really chaotic, it just collapses.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we're in that spot now that I mean it's so much about the frequency, but there's something really huge taking place here on a spiritual level where it cannot not happen as I see it.
Yeah.
And this journey is so very
Mm.
deeply personal, hey, as you say, we're all collectively doing it, but the personal experience can be very different. And also, once we enter this journey, it really feels like part of us are literally dying, and it's not always so easy, eh? So, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I'm sure there's listeners that really feel like, they feel really lost and they
Yeah.
start to withdraw from people. They don't know what to think anymore. There's so much out there,
Mhm.
bombardment of information. Now we got the three-eye atlas. We got so many things happening.
There's so many things that could be discussed.
Yeah.
But it literally is a collapse of an old world and a birth of a new one. And that means the collapse of, individual perception and regrowth of new perception. It's a convergence, pretty much of like completely separate realms. You kind of have to look at it as, I don't like to use the terms like higher, lower, better, worse, or, because it's all experience, but we've discussed before how things got very convoluted in the energy world. Different paradigms were bleeding into each other and not functioning properly. And, frequency coherence wasn't happening properly. And so, it was clashing, and society's clashing, and consciousness is clashing. Individual perception of their things like personality disorders were clashing. And so, it was causing a lot of discognizance and just individuals' abilities to be able to function. And so, it's kind of the world shaking. We've talked many times about how, as humans, we're as we get into all these little pockets of conversation that can take us forever to get in and get out of. But basically, we're being rewritten. It's no different than a computer being rebooted. It's no different than your human design being rewritten, and elevated. You're taking on this process of literally collapsing many lifetimes. It's kind of like the universal code decided enough was enough. We're going to converge all of these different societies, all these different existences, different paradigms, different dimensions. And everybody kind of said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And then it just kind of has happened, and it's evolving into this snowball effect that individuals, as in their human concept, don't understand what's happening to them. And basically, it's kind of like being fast forwarded through this process while being in a homeostasis state. And, things are kind of happening, around and through and up and down, but we're kind of in a sleep state while it's happening.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to explain it. But there's still so many physical and conscious symptoms that are coming along with it that people are needing a lot of guidance through it, because it is a very chaotic process if you don't understand what's happening to you.
Mm.
But it's basically this integration of many spaces and in between, multidimensional timelines from the past, present, and future. And everything is being brought together into the 0 point, and it's literally being zipper pulled from both sides.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And it's like going like this, if you imagine that you're having, I can't remember the scientific term for the wavelengths, but and eventually it's going to balance out into the center point,
Yeah.
to where you're going to fall into this whole new self,
Mm. Mm.
and you'll just kind of forget everything that happened, that you've gone through.
Yeah.
And you'll just be this convergence of so much evolution and information, and it's a lot. Every day
Yeah.
I have
It's
people tell
it's
me it's a lot.
it's like being bombarded with everything and all the emotions,
Yeah.
everything on the outside, until you just literally are being forced to enter this void and
Yeah.
emptiness and quietness. In some ways, um, what do you think? People that are really experiencing a lot of internal turmoil now, so to say, or confusion, or just what's happening, what's what would you say
Mhm.
be the best thing that a person like that could do to kind of, yeah, to feel more peace within?
It's really hard for individuals to try to find that peace within when everything internally feels so chaotic. And that's where a lot of newly learned practices for bringing about conscious, emotional, autonomic system calm. And, a lot of people think, it's just meditation, but that's not just meditation. It's a whole circumference of all different kinds of practices and understandings. And as a holistic practitioner, I do address a lot of those. But it also comes into play where individuals like myself who are very highly adapted energy workers who have acclimated and trained very rapidly to be able to help individuals to ground and be at peace and at calm just simply by utilizing energy work, because there's so much of these progresses and processes that they don't have control over what's happening to them, even with the use of meditation, even with the use of conscious breathing or somatic practices. That doesn't come until down the road after they've gone through a pretty massive accelerated process.
Mm.
So that in and of itself is hard to explain, because there's not a simple definition to that
Mm. Mm.
on a podcast.
Yeah, it definitely goes deep, and it's hard to pinpoint. I mean, one thing may not be the right thing for the other person. Again, it's such an individual uh, journey. And as I see it, I mean, to a certain extent, I mean, us humans, we are made for deeper connections, but it's like we are forced into um, really go within and find the universe within, that real trust and love within, before we really go out and really deeply connect now. So, like, I find that that is a calling to build the strength and know that the strength is within us, and we are all connected within,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. And that is something that is probably an unfamiliar sort of experience in the
Mhm.
world, or has been in the world. And it's like, we're born into this world, we come in alone and we leave alone, yet we're not alone.
Right, absolutely. It's a collective process. And so, whenever you are in the midst of the process, there is a calling to come together for many individuals, to help each other and to help each other through the process, because there's many individuals who are in tune on, I was going to mention a while ago that through all of the process, we're now living where we would have been 2,000 years in the future.
Mm.
And for many, this is very difficult to understand. How do you comprehend that you are embodying yourself of who you are 2,000 years in the future? How did you integrate
Yeah.
so many lives, within one life? And it's hard to comprehend, but it had to happen that way in order to be able to help guide, bring everyone forward into that time and space to collaborate all of the convergence of all of the time and space and the timelines to be able to coherently, trying to think of the right way to put it, but in order to be able to coherently bring those into that time and space
Mm.
that is necessary for the now, for that collective happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't talk right now.
Yeah.
I can't.
Um, yeah, it is certainly an interesting time we live in. And what came to me before was that, you know, our whole world is entering kind of a season of exposure. And that's not just the world on the outside, it's also, as I see it, on the inside. And, as the truth is rising, all the lies are crumbling. And if we look at it from a personal point of view, it's all the mask we have been wearing is also forced to be taken off now, and the real authentic truth, or we have the opportunity to bring out the authentic truth. How do you sit with that? I'm just talking about what's coming to me, and
With authentic truth, um, it's very difficult to comprehend what authentic truth is sometimes, because even for myself, going through the processes, because the way that it happens is kind of like chipping away a little bit at a time, although it's happening very quickly. It's still a little bit at a time. And so you're embodied in your highest consciousness and your highest awareness. But because we're moving through this pivotal process of chipping away and collapsing the lower paradigms, a little at a time, those who are leading the forefront of anchoring this new beginning are still chipping away their old selves while they're holding the forefront of this whole process. There's many people who have already written books, on this, about the three waves and the volunteers and those individuals who are the volunteers of headlining this process and doing all the mass transmuting and guiding and leading. They are going through the exact same processes while they're doing this, because they still have to collapse their own lower timelines. And so it's kind of like going to the future and bringing back the answers, and going to the future and then coming back and slowly closing that gap. And um, so finding your truth, finding your solid structure, finding uh, the ability to stand in your truth is very hard still, even for myself. I'm You've known me for a long time. You know what I do. You know how much I've been involved worldwide with so many different things. I still have my moments that I am weak, and I still have my moments that I have difficulty standing in my truth, because I'm still chipping away my old humanness, and still bringing about new consciousness every day. And it's closing this gap as we're pulling that together. And, it's not all hellfire and brimstone like what everybody thinks, although when you have these stories, and that's what they are, they're basically stories, because, as humans, we get to choose what kind of life we want to live, to learn from, and what we want to learn as a human spirit, what we want to learn in our life when we're in these lifetime experiences. So it's not all that, everyone has been taught, but there is the energetic collapse from the lower paradigms that does have to be seen and transmuted to a certain aspect by individuals. And, um, and it is ugly at times. There are individuals that are seeing these decaying lower timelines that are collapsing. I'm one of them, and I do see and experience all lower paradigms as they're evolving out. And that's exactly what it is. It's a collapse of old worlds, outdated systems, outdated existences, things that don't serve us. You know, Paradigms that were put into place to create suffering, and not just a little suffering, like long-term suffering that was feeding a paradigm that just is not fruitful or beneficial for human existence.
Mm, mm. Yeah, what came to me before is that um, there's definitely hidden alignment happening, as we speak, and the higher consciousness of God or whatever we call it does not reveal the pattern to everyone at one
Yeah.
in time, if that that would make sense to you perhaps, but um, and what you were saying, it's definitely not an easy um, job to have um, the level of awareness or whatever we call it for some reason to, you know, do the work like yourself are doing. Because it is, we navigate through that through also doing the human experience. And, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah, and
we, you know,
yeah.
sometimes I
I've
feel,
had questions. Oh, sorry. I think we have a little bit of a lag.
yeah, that's all right. Um, and, you know, once you become aware, you can't not be aware. It's like whatever you
No.
see can't be unseen. And the more your consciousness, the more awareness there is, there's the next level and there's the next levels. Although awareness is
Yeah.
power, it's certainly
Yeah.
power. Um, but it's also about alignment, isn't it? It's about preparing our heart and carry the truth in our spirit and
Hmm.
staying really aligned, but also staying really grounded. And it's the kind of a balancing act there, isn't it? And
It really can be. I know we've talked a couple of times about things like false spiritualist or individuals that are, continuously pursuing the highest alignment. And this is such a stigma that is placed on spiritualism because, even as someone who is spiritual, you're still experiencing the duality of life,
yeah, yeah,
and being able to keep that in your mind because I have so many individuals that come to me whenever they come for coaching or just advice or when they talk on my posts and things that they get so genuinely. And I've recently have fallen in love with the word disenchantment. They become so disenchanted with the process that they lose sight of their progress because of their disenchantment with where they are in the process.
yeah, yeah,
Um, they're not happy because they've fallen behind. They feel like they're being left behind, and when really they're still just closing that gap that's happening at the end of all of this, and they're working their way back up.
yeah.
Um,
That's a
I recently,
I was
sorry.
going to know it's a lovely way. That's a really beautiful way of putting it, I think. And it's a good reminder for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I recently came to the conclusion, even myself, that I had become very disenchanted with my process.
yeah.
I see and experience so much as a mass energy transmuter. I transmute and see happenings of things that happen not just in this paradigm or closing out paradigms, but
Mm,
also timelines that need to be closed out.
mm,
And so I see and experience so much pain and sadness and then you add your own experiences and your own trauma and there's times that it feels like it's just so much that how do you process all of it? And I've always said that I've seen and have experienced a peek at so many of my different lives and lifetimes and wonderful human experiences and wonderful celestial experiences. But I became very disenchanted with my experience. I always have loved being a human. I love, the sight of seeing things, experiencing things, and going places and eating good food. And, I don't know if you recently saw, I posted just a clip of a video, Fall in Love Again. And it was
I don't know if I,
one of those moments that I was like, I really became disenchanted with the process. And that video is about falling in love with life again. After all of that trauma and change and everything happens, you
Mm,
have to go through a process of getting over and
mm.
healing from the trauma from your awakening process as well.
Absolutely. And
You
I,
know?
yeah, I really truly believe we are being or we're being chosen to rise again, and that comes with a process of falling in
Yeah.
love and having those
Yeah.
beautiful experiences. And I was talking to a friend the other day. I've been talking to a few friends about this, about just the beautiful thing of having that those feelings of falling in love, and all the experiences around that, and just not rob ourselves from that experience, because
Right.
that's I really truly believe that we are here to open up to that too. In
Hmm.
all the endings, if we can, you know, connect to that part and see that part too, and that beauty, I think that will also contribute to, us rising and to the beginning of the new
Hmm.
world. I truly believe that. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah. Yeah. So for all of those who are going through that period of disenchantment right now, you will rise back up into being enchanted with life again.
yeah.
It's such a difficult process, such a difficult process, and we have a whole just when we thought that we were close to being done with like closing the gap, we literally had a whole nother group of individuals not only on load to help us because we were at a point that we were just absolutely exhausted with doing this. It's just exhausted. There's no other word, that absolutely humanly, spiritually, celestially exhausted.
Mm.
And we started asking for help, more help, like we were not able to close this gap without some help because it was absolutely exhausting. And so we've had literally a whole nother wave of individuals who have come on as like baby light workers, who are newer souls that are incarnating, but they, have already stepped into that role.
Mm.
And we have a whole nother wave of individuals who have also decided to, jump on the awakening bandwagon. It's,
So that makes me a little bit curious. We've got a little bit more time left, Danelle, and I want to, when you talk about that, um, definitely Three Eye Atlas was coming to me. Uh, Somehow it just popped into my awareness.
yeah, Three Eye Atlas has a lot what to do with it.
Yeah,
This is something I started channeling about a year ago,
yeah.
um, like directly channeling. I have always had a celestial connection with so many different celestial races that are here to engage, to integrate, converge, and come together. And Three Eye Atlas is part of that. I started seeing and having connection about a year ago, like direct contact with different ships that were coming as close as they could to where we could see, sense, feel
Mm,
that they were there. And so I was told that, the frequencies they couldn't merge. Like their frequency to us is it was highly incompatible at the time.
mm,
And so they were not able, and they still are not able to come close. But because we have been progressively raising the frequency of human alignment
mm,
and where we sit in this paradigm, it is slowly closing that frequency gap so that they can coexist without interfering and causing detrimental damage to the gridding, the system, the whatever we function on. That's a whole nother conversation. But the whole active atlas is to help initialize the rest of that catapulting energy to push us the rest of the way into where we're supposed to be. And it's not fun. Whenever it made its most recent convergence towards the sun and it looped this energetic cycle somehow and incorporated it in with our solar cycling. And whenever that energy reached us, it was about a week and a half ago, I believe. It was one of the most intense integratory periods I think I have experienced in this whole experience. And I have experienced a lot. And it was a lot. And it was a very rapid onset process that like immediately like raised the frequency even more. But it really zapped the individual ability to process frequencies for a handful of days. Like it took a lot out of a lot of us, because it immediately like had this uplifting effect. With every process you have to go through, it's kind of like an offloading. You integrate the energy, you do the expansion, and then you have to integrate into it, and then you're able to function in it. And so, yeah, but we're not done. There's more to come.
Yeah, I'm sure
There's more to
there's
come.
way more to come, but yeah, it's would you say it's nothing to be worried about? It's nothing to be scared about. It's
No,
no.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's really not. Individuals are so afraid of what they don't know.
yeah.
But what they don't know is that they do know. They just haven't
That's
remembered.
right. You're scared of me. That's what I said to
Yeah.
a friend of mine the other
They
day.
just haven't remembered. They do know. Every individual on this planet is an offspring of a celestial race. This is just our human experience. I tell everybody, if you look at individual characteristics, there is a whole human design map, that you can identify, from characteristics. It's your human design. It's your coding,
Yeah.
your birth chart. Your birth chart and everything is what identifies what kind of human you're going to be. There's so much more about all of that I still am learning about. A lot of it has come to me intuitively, but there's nothing to be afraid of. This is something that has been happening and oncoming for a long time, and it's kind of has been held off by external forces not wanting it to happen. Because having humans remember who and what they are is not conducive to some individuals in our society.
Exactly. And that's where that
Yeah.
um, what came to me, that, when it becomes too chaotic, that frequency will collapse as we're going through this. And the truth, however long it takes, will always come out. Because we're
Yeah.
here to rise. It's like we're in these boiling kind of waters at the moment. It's just
It's a boiling pot, that's for
it's
sure.
it's a
It
boiling
is a
pot,
boiling
isn't it?
pot.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a boiling pot. Every day I have individuals that tell me I'm so angry and I don't know why, or I'm experiencing this and this and I don't know why. I've never experienced this before. This is happening and I don't know what's happening. I went to my doctor for this and this and this, but they have no idea what's wrong with me. It's a boiling pot
Mm, mm,
of processes that it's unavoidable because all of this has to be boiled off,
Yeah.
before the water can be cooled. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a process. It's all a process.
Yeah.
But believing in the process is one of the hardest aspects for individuals to understand that your mind, your body, and everything was intended to be able to expand and contract, and to recalibrate and balance itself.
Mm, mm, yeah.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
we finish off, Danelle, I just want to say now it is the 28th of October, and there's been a lot of just talk about the significance of this particular date. Do you want to finish off what it means to you personally? This particular, you personally, what significance or insignificance do you put on this date?
You know, it's funny because I I pay attention to energy, I pay attention to processes, um, to intuitive channeling, but I honestly, and I will be dead honest with you,
Hmm.
I have to literally go look sometimes and see what today is or what tomorrow is or why is this happening? Why am I being told this intuitively? Why am I channeling this? I will have to go look and see. So, like, whether it's a palindrome or a particular date, because all of these things are things that humans have labeled them and given them meaning in that aspect through calendar dates or the pink moon or the beaver moon or, or whatever, so it's like celestially, I have no flippin' idea. Like, and it's not things that I coherently like have ingrained in me as far as like human design aspect, because those are all things that were given labels and names by humans. And so it was given a human aspect. So I honestly, as far as like the 28th, um, as today, and it may, I may go, oh, okay, but I don't have a revelation about the date other than we're a day away from the proposed connection to Atlas coming back into our most, how is it they put it, the closest that they've been to us
Yeah,
since they have made their appearance.
yeah.
So, but you share with me, what does the 28th mean to you?
28 means to me, Danelle, it's kind of a doorway to clarity for me, to stay
Yeah.
in my truth and stay in my light and the awareness, and that I'm
Hmm.
part of something really divine. That's really how I can sum it up
Hmm.
for me personally. I don't like putting labels or reading in things too much, that I'm just part of a process, and
Yeah,
I'm here and now, and yeah, I'm
I
just
love that.
I'm
Good.
just
I'm not the only one, like I literally have to go look, and I know I'm always told to tell, ahead of time, what I'm supposed to relay to people, what I'm supposed to share with them. And I know it's important checkpoints, but a lot of times I'll have to go look and I'll have to be like, oh, yeah, it's 10:10. Well, 10:10 is always, an energetic gateway that there's kind of like Mario Kart checkpoints where we pick up celestial energy that has been
mm,
made relevant to our processes. And a lot of it goes back to all different kinds of calendar reasoning. However, a lot of things that we experience are not on our calendar because of the way that our calendar is shifted. So it's not actually in correct alignment with our processes.
mm. It's very
Excuse me.
interesting because I have never, ever since I've been on this earth, never really been a person that's looked at dates or anything. I've never ever connected
Mm-mm.
even with my own cycles early on in life, I've just
Hmm.
gone with and I've noticed that a
Yeah.
lot of people follow those significance, and I think that can
Hmm.
interact with like your perception of everything and your experience of it when you get attached to a certain date or a certain event. This is going to happen rather
Yeah.
than going through the
Yeah.
process as it actually unfolds. But maybe
Hmm.
a little bit odd, I don't know. We all different
Yeah.
how we do things.
Yeah, yeah, everyone's different. And, never, some people, they like having that marker to keep track, but it's the same thing with, new moon and the full moon and all the different lunar cycles. Each cycle is part of the human design that, this is when we go through particular offloading experiences of shedding, different layers off of our old traumas. I always kind of laughed because my late husband and I were very lunar associated. And so I always know whenever, waning or, or crescent or full or anything is happening because I have very particular emotional
Yeah.
processes that offload during those times. But it's the same thing with like solar events and the Schumann spikes. Like each one has very specific purpose and process in it. So it's good. And that's why I try to always remember and represent some of it because it's important for individuals to know the process and recognize the process.
Mm.
When it levels out a little bit more, it's not, it won't be as big a deal. But being able to inform people,
Yeah.
of what they'll experience, is important. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank
it's,
you
it's
again.
always so fiery, it's like I always feel like, gosh, we literally can talk, not just as individuals, a lot, but when it comes to talking to these subjects, because there's not, there's more now, but, there's not as many conversational platforms
Mm,
as
mm,
there probably should be to bring,
mm.
bring more of this into awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. For anyone that stayed to the end, we thank you, of course, and you're meant to be here to listen to expand your awareness and your consciousness. And if you want to find out more about Danelle or myself, there will be description, of course, in below in the description, so you can contact either of us if you so wish. And I thank you, of course, Danelle, for being here with me today, and hope
It's always a pleasure, Karen.
I hope
Always a
and look
pleasure.
forward. Yeah, I look forward to another divine timing with you to keep these conversations going, because I do believe that it is maybe what we're meant to do.
Absolutely. I mean, look at us. I'm so far away. We have so much distance between us, but yet we can be close and converge and talk on important topics,
Yeah, yeah,
and be friends,
yeah.
regardless of the space.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful. So thank you so much to you, Danelle, and I'll look forward to next time we have
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the platform, and thanks everyone for joining us.
yeah, thank you.